guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to make a really quick and easy recipe. It's going to be Efo Riro. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this is my take on the recipe. Everyone will make it a little bit differently depending on your family, but this is how I prefer to make it. So a friend of mine at work suggested that I might want to veganize the recipe because she thought I would really enjoy it. And boy was she right, because it is my absolute favorite. It has now become a staple meal and it's super healthy and super nutritious. You can really bulk it up with a lot of greens. You can bulk it up with a lot of veg. So it's a really hearty meal. As far as the protein goes, I personally like to do tofu, and I keep it in larger pieces just because typically there's larger pieces of fish or meat in the actual traditional meal. So if you don't want to use tofu, you can definitely use beans as well in the meal. It's very customizable. So yeah, very, very easy, super healthy. I used kale. You can use spinach, whatever greens that you have and that you prefer. But yeah, let's whip up this recipe so I can show you how quick and easy it is and how super delicious it is as well. So you're going to want 5 to 6, I'd probably say 6 really large bell peppers, the biggest you can find. Now, typically this is done with red peppers, but I do mix red and yellow sometimes. Sometimes I just do yellow. Either way, the dish will turn out perfect. The only one that I would not recommend is green pepper because it does have a different type of taste to it. But whatever you can find other than green, I would go for it. And I add a lot. I add 5 to 6 cloves of garlic as well to my, 5 or 6 really large bell peppers. So I basically process that until it's nice and processed, and then I transfer that to a pot, and then that's where the magic happens and it starts to cook up really nicely. Now I showed you the bouillon that I like to use. You can use whatever bouillon you prefer, but that's what I like to use. And I add 2 tablespoons because I want it very flavorful. I'm also going to add a lot of water to it, so I want to make sure that it is very flavorful. And then whatever seasonings you prefer. So I'm showing you what I use, and I will again put it in the description box, but you want to season it to your preference as well. So once your mixture is in the pot, you're going to cook it up for like 20 to 30 minutes and let it thicken up really nicely. You're going to add your bouillon, and it's going to be really flavorful, in your seasonings, of course. And this is something that I like to make and put it in the fridge in a container, and then I have it already made. Most of the work is already done for another dinner, the next day's dinner, that kind of thing. So you can do that as well if you want to meal prep and have, your main component ready. So yeah, on this day I already had it already prepped, so I threw it back into the pot and heated it up. I put boiling water in. This is the time to re-season and make sure that everything tastes really good, and you don't need to add anything else basically to it. And then I also add tomato paste, because tomato paste will give it another depth of flavor. It's really nice. I prefer tomato paste. Some families like to chop up some tomatoes and throw tomatoes in. It really depends on how you prefer it, but this is how I make it. And then as far as the greens go, I go ahead and add in kale. I had a kale mixture and there was some cabbage in there and carrots, and this worked really well. Typically you're going to use spinach, and you're going to need a lot of spinach, so buy a lot if you do use spinach. I use 4 really full cups, 4 to 5 cups of kale. If you're going to do spinach, then you're going to need a lot more because you do want to bulk up this meal, and spinach is kind of sort of the star of the show for this meal as well, not just the bell peppers. So whatever green you use, just make sure you add a lot in because it really reduces quite a bit. So as far as my protein source, like I had mentioned earlier, I like to use tofu and I like to cut it up in larger pieces. I throw that in and I just let it cook up for a couple of minutes. It doesn't need to cook so much. It gets really flavorful in this sauce and it tastes so good. So typically this meal is made with fish and meat, but of course we're making a plant-based vegan and we are using tofu instead. If you don't want to use tofu, you can go ahead and add beans in. It's totally up to you, very customizable, but this is what I find works the best, and it actually just pairs so well with the whole dish. Like the tofu just works really well, I think. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy the recipe and that you try it and, you know, create your own version as well at home, depending on what people like in your home. As far as herbs go, I think herbs are really important too. I really like adding parsley. Parsley works really well, I think, with this particular recipe, but you can add whatever herbs you prefer into your meal. This is just a basis of, you know, what you can do with it, but of course, customize it the way you prefer. So guys, that is it for today's recipe. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you give it a try. Let me know in the comments below if you do try it and if you decide to change anything in the recipe and adjust it according to what your family prefers. But I would love to hear it. This is honestly one of my favorite dishes now, and it's so nutritious and so delicious. So health, joy, and positive vibes to each and every one of you, and I'll see you in the next video.